So since the last video, we have been pumped by Roma in the Europa League, which most people probably expected. I expected as well. And now, yesterday, obviously, losing to St Mirren final, which I guess you could maybe call a bit of a pumping as well, especially in the second half, I would say. So yeah, here we are. We're 3 games into Wilfried Nancy. His term as the Celtic manager, and he's lost his first 3 games, which I'm pretty sure is never happened for a Celtic manager, unless unless I'm entirely wrong. But I'm pretty sure I seen a couple of people say that. So yeah, it's not a very ideal start for him. It's the worst start that he could have made. After the Hearts game, I defended him. I thought it wasn't the system, because I thought we created enough chances to win the game, and it was individual mistakes that cost us. Roma, I wasn't expecting much, but we were awful against Roma as well. But for me, the game that he had to win was the cup final, and he hasn't. Obviously, we've lost 3-1 to St Mirren, which is the worst thing that could have happened, I think, for Wilfried Nancy. And we're now at a point now where I think the majority of the fan base have now turned on the manager 3 games in, which sounds absolutely insane, but it seems like it's the reality. Unless there's a lot of people that are silent about it, that are behind the manager. I'm sure there are some people still behind the manager, but from what you're seeing online and social media now, obviously that's not always the best way to look at to try and gauge things, but you're mainly seeing people saying that we should just admit it's a mistake and move on from him. I don't really know how to feel about it, to be quite honest. I'm mixed about it. I think he's definitely made some mistakes. I think he's probably made an error in thinking that some of these players are good enough to adapt to how he wants to play. And I also think there's just a lot of these players that just simply aren't good enough in any system. But we are where we are. He's lost his first 3 games, and he's now in a situation now where it's now game by game, where he just has to win. If he doesn't beat Dundee United during the week, I think it could get really ugly. I think it could get ugly, and I mean, it's insane to even be saying this, but I think you might get people chanting in the stands for him to go. I think it might get to that point. Martin O'Neill was on TalkSport today, basically talking about it, which, I mean, that's just insane as well. Also, just being the interim manager just there, like, what, over a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Now he's back in TalkSport talking about the current situation, and he's getting asked if he would take the job back. From what I gauged listening to it, it sounds like he actually probably would take it, and he actually said if he was offered the job to the end of the season when he was there, he would have taken it. I think he probably would take it if Celtic were to make the decision to get rid of Wilfried Nancy and to bring Martin O'Neill back. I think he probably would take it, because he does seem to have rejuvenated himself with his spell at Celtic, which he's even admitted himself. He says he feels a lot younger and he's got a lot more energy than maybe he thought. But I can't say that I am in the position where, well, oh yeah, we have to sack the manager, because, I mean, it's 3 games, but again, like, you're watching it and you're going, it doesn't seem like it's working, and it seems like the manager isn't willing to adapt to the players that he has, and just the current surroundings where we are. We've got players leaving for AFCON, which, to be honest, I don't know if it's that big a deal, because I think it's Balikwisha and Tanecki who have been terrible. Like, Tanecki, I was a big fan of when he first came. I thought he's a breath of fresh air, but I mean, he's been horrendous in the last couple of weeks. And Balikwisha, I mean, is there any point even talking about Balikwisha? Like, he's pretty much just been a ghost. I think you sometimes forget that he's actually there. So I don't think we'll miss him that much, but they are bodies. Do you know what I mean? They're guys that won't be available, and with the injury list that we have and the lack of quality we already have, it doesn't help that we've lost 2 more bodies. And also, Ian Atchell getting injured too. Speaking of breath of fresh air, I thought when he came on against Roma, he looked hungry, he looked really annoyed, and he was like passionate. And I think we've seen that at Hampden as well. He looked at a guy who was really annoyed about our current situation, and he wanted to help fix it. And I think he played well the last 2 games, and what happens? Of course, he gets another hamstring injury, which is just, I mean, the worst thing that could have happened. You're thinking, oh, we finally have a striker that can hold the ball up, which we're really struggling with the last couple of games. And then he's went and got himself a hamstring injury again. So either he's made of glass, and this is just a an issue that we're going to have with him, or it's just unlucky, or that the fitness team that we have at the football club isn't up to standard and we're rushing players back, which is possible as well. Like, I don't think anyone really knows, to be honest. But it's an insane situation the club find themselves in, and it's all down to the people that run the football club. Like, they've allowed this to happen. You could go back to the start of the year where we sold Kyogo, didn't replace him, and probably since we get put out of the Champions League against Bayern Munich, we've just been in a downward spiral pretty much with 3 different managers. Martin O'Neill picked us up, gave us a bit of confidence, and now we're kind of back down to earth pretty much. And the thing is now, do you give Nancy a couple of games to fix this? Do the board have to admit this hasn't worked? Maybe we should just scrap it and we're gonna have to move on to something else. I think it's difficult. I think it's a really difficult situation, and it's a difficult decision. But they're the ones that have got us into this situation, and now they have to fix it. Whether that's putting confidence in Wilfried Nancy and saying he's going to be here to the end of the season, or changing it and admitting that they made a mistake. And I think if Wilfried Nancy is to go, which again is crazy to think, he's only been here, I don't even think he's been here 2 weeks. But if they are to make that decision, whether that's right away or if that's maybe because we drop points or lose to Dundee United or Aberdeen, then Paul Tisdale has to go as well. Like, and maybe a couple of other guys higher up. If Paul Tisdale was the guy to appoint Wilfried Nancy, and if we're led to believe that he's been the guy that's been making these signings in the previous windows, then he has to go, because he is 100% probably the biggest problem in terms of recruitment. Obviously Rodgers made his thoughts clear on it, and then we've seen the outcome with Dermot Desmond basically having a full-on rant on the Celtic website. But we're now here, a new manager, and it looks like all hope is gone 3 games in, and it looks like most of the fan base have given up on the manager, which, it's never nice to see. But the thing is, where do you go now? And I really can't answer that. Like, I don't know if you stick or twist. It's incredibly harsh to sack a manager after 3 games, but again, it's also looking at it realistically and going, do you see it getting any better, or do you think Wilfried Nancy is going to adapt? And he does seem like the type of manager that is stubborn, and he isn't going to adapt. He's going to do how he does it, and a lot of managers are like that. Even Ange Postecoglou was like that, but he obviously got the results, and he went down as a successful Celtic manager. But Wilfried Nancy obviously isn't getting the results, so does he adapt? And listen, if he doesn't adapt and he keeps losing football matches, he's not going to be here for long. And that's kind of it, honestly. Like, if he doesn't get the results, he's not going to be here for long. And either we'll go back to Martin O'Neill or someone else. So it's a tricky situation. Whoever it is that is our manager going out of the January transfer window, which it honestly could, take your guess who it's going to be. Like, because I have no idea. It could be Wilfried Nancy, it could be Martin O'Neill again, or it could be someone else. Maybe it's Sean Maloney. Like, who knows? Like, I don't think anyone has a clue. I don't think the people in the boardroom probably have a clue. Now, going off what Celtic have done in the past, they don't really make rash decisions. They're really, like, conservative. They don't really take risks. Though I guess you could say Wilfried Nancy is a risk. But if you go back to the COVID season, where people would say it's our worst season probably since Tony Mowbray, everyone was asking for Neil Lennon to get sacked probably October, November time. He didn't end up going till, February in that season. And the season was done. Like, it was finished. And you just don't see them making a decision to sack a manager 4 or 5 games in. But, if we lose to Dundee United, that's 4 games that he's lost in a row since taking over. And then you've got Aberdeen, who are starting to win football matches and look tough to beat. Look a lot tougher to beat than they were a couple of months ago. And it's like, if you keep losing, where does the confidence come from? And I think the biggest red flag, probably since Nancy coming in, is the players. The players really do not seem convinced, which is maybe why I think most people are maybe already giving up on this project, because if the players aren't buying it, then is there a point in sticking by it? Like, do you know what I mean? If the players aren't convinced by it, it's not going to work. Unfortunately, player power is a massive thing now. And listen, I'm sick of a lot of the players in that team. I don't think there's many I would keep in there, despite whether Nancy stays or not. I think there's some serious issues in that squad. And I think there's guys that have stuck there far too long and have to be moved on. And there's also just guys that have been signed very recently that just aren't good enough to play for the football club. So there's going to have to be a massive turnover in the next 2 transfer windows. And Paul Tisdale, I feel like cannot be allowed to lead that charge into signing players. So whether Wilfried Nancy stays or not, I don't know if Paul Tisdale can be allowed, or whoever it is that is going to be running the recruitment drive going into the next 2 windows cannot be allowed to keep their position, because I mean these are going to be probably the 2 biggest transfer windows we've had in years, because the squad is in a dire strait, and it does make you wonder if we can turn it around this season. The crazy thing is, though we lost the League Cup final, there is still a league to be won there, and there is still a chance we could get in the Europa League knockout stages. Like, we're playing Utrecht, who, if we were to beat Utrecht, we could still go through the Europa League knockouts. I know people will be looking at that, saying, "Oh, we shouldn't be worrying about Europe," but it is still there. There's still an opportunity there. In the league, there's nothing really in the league right now. Like, I think anyone could win it between Celtic, Rangers, or Hearts. Like, it's all up in the air right now, and we're obviously in a bad way. But again, as you seen with Martin O'Neill coming in, all it does take is a couple of results to lift the players, and it does seem like a title race that is going to go at the wire either way. But whatever decision the football club make, they have to make the right one, or this really could be somehow worse than the COVID season, which I don't think many people thought was possible a couple of years ago, or even a couple of months ago. So it's going to be a big couple of, I was going to say a big couple of weeks, it's going to be a big couple of days and hours, because if we don't beat Dundee United, as I said before, I think it could get really ugly and toxic, and I think the fans might force the club into a decision if they don't want to make it, and I hope it doesn't get to that. I pray that Wilfried Nancy can win midweek and get a win at Aberdeen and can turn this around, but right now it's not looking likely, which is really unfortunate. But if it is the case that he can't turn this around, then the club will have to make the decision, and whether that's bringing back Martin O'Neill or bringing in someone else, be obviously Celtic are a football club that demands to win, the fans demand to win, and there's a reason for that. Like, we outspend every team in the country, we have more fans going to games than any team in the country, and that comes with expectation, and if you can't handle the expectation, then you can't be at the football club, whether that's the players or the manager. The manager goes on about performance, and performance is key, but when you're not winning on the park, no one wants to hear about the performance levels being good, because I think it's very hard to convince anyone that the performance levels have been good, not just under Nancy, but under probably the last 3 managers, I would argue. The results right now are the most important thing. When you're playing bad, you have to grind at the results, and we've done that over the last couple of years. Even when we've went through spells where we're not playing well, you get the job done, and the senior players like Callum McGregor have managed to do that. If the rumours are true about Callum McGregor and senior players having an issue with Wilfried Nancy, it's only going to go one way, and we know that he's not going to survive. So it's a big couple of days and weeks ahead, and who knows who will be the Celtic manager going into the January transfer window, but it will be probably the most important January transfer window that we've ever had, and maybe the biggest couple of months in the season that we've had in years, because this could affect next season as well, in terms of the players we move on and the players that we bring in to replace them, and who the manager will be. So let me know what you think below. It's been a bit of a ramble, but it is an extremely bizarre situation to be in. And also, before I end of it as well, you've got to congratulate St Mirren as well. Massive for them to win a trophy for the first time in 13 years. They're just a really well organised football team and football club who you kind of seen them winning a trophy. Like, they've been on the up the last couple of years, became an established top 6 team, going to Europe. I know he didn't qualify, but even just getting in Europe qualifiers is a big deal for St Mirren. And winning the trophy as well, which Stephen Robinson was probably praying for years. Like, obviously, he got to a couple of finals with Motherwell, and we were a bit too much for them. But he's a guy that's achieved a lot in Scottish football, and to win a trophy at St Mirren is a massive deal. And I mean, he's got to go down as a pretty big icon in their football club. So I mean, you've got to say well done to them. We were poor on the day. I thought the first bit of the first half we were okay, but St Mirren definitely deserved to win, and they were the better team on the day. So yeah, thanks for listening to me talk nonsense, and have a good day.